All right.
Hello.
Hey, everyone. So first, thank you for having us here. Maybe quickly to get started, maybe we can have a show of hands. Like, how many of you have already crypto wallet?
Hello.
Just to know. Okay, great. And how many of you have already contributed to a DAO?
Or got paid to work for a DAO?
Okay. How many of you know what a DAO is? Oh, that's pretty good. All right, so we are here to talk to you about DAOs and how we are climate activists, but also I personally come also from the tech space. I used to do a startup in Silicon Valley, moved back to Belgium a couple of years ago. So really interested in the intersection of technology, giving more powers to citizens and system change, not climate change. So let's get right into it. First, friendly reminder, as of today, we are still going to extinction, right? CO2 concentration in the atmosphere is really, really bad. It's not getting any better. And this should be a priority for all of us. So we invite all of us to whatever you do, see where is the intersection of your work and how this can contribute to helping address this climate emergency. We believe that it's actually beyond all the small things we can do for the climate. There is actually a massive issue from the kind of the foundation of our civilization right now that really started with the Industrial Revolution and the concept of LLCs, limited liability companies. It enabled us to build the railroad and the Industrial Revolution, but in it already it's enabling its demise that we are witnessing right now. And it comes from, and yeah, we've been promised freedom and we get stuck in traffic jam. So the problem really with the system of LLCs is that shareholders are disconnected from stakeholders, right? We have always the same type of people as shareholders usually, and then stakeholders, including minorities, including nature, are not really represented. And because of that, we end up managing the world through PowerPoint and spreadsheets, right? And that disconnects us from the real world impact. We end up deciding to use Palm oil because it looks great in Microsoft spreadsheets, because it's cheaper. And we don't live in Indonesia where the real impact is happening. So shareholders don't have skin in the game, and that's a real issue. And stakeholders, they can only consume and work for shareholders, right? People need to eat, it costs money, they need a wage, so they need to work for those shareholders one way or another. It's called wage slavery, right? So how do we get rid of that? Freedom. So we need system change, not climate change. How are we going to do that? Well, we need to realign incentives. We need to make sure that every stakeholder becomes a shareholder, right? Also known as a co-owner. And the good news is that actually it works. Actually, I started my career within Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley companies have been outperforming other companies, among other things, because they make every employee a shareholder, which is not really the case in most other startups, especially in Europe. And that helps, because when you are co-owner, you have much more motivation to go the extra mile. And basically, this is a trend, right? Going from centralized entities to more decentralized entities. Our parents, it was all about corporations. That was the cool thing to do. It was centralized, owned by investors, very rigid waterfall. And then now the cool things for us was to do startups. It's still centralized. You still have the investors and founders who have equity. But now at least the early team, especially in Silicon Valley, also get to be the co-owner of it. And it's much more agile. But then the next step is to go to a much more distributed system, and that's where DAOs come into play, right? They are decentralized, they are owned by not only the investors and the core contributors, but also the community, and they are very agile. They can quickly react to the input of the environment. And so yeah, the future of work is not corporate, breaking news, it's DAOs and crypto networks. So how to DAO?
Yeah, I can start from here. Can you go back 2 slides or two
I
slides?
can totally do that. Here we
So
go.
see here, just to start a bit our story and where we went with DAOs, because we've started quite a few in the meantime. Both coming from a climate activist space a couple of years ago. part of Extinction Rebellion, we noticed that a lot of those grassroots movements had to go through the same pain of starting a nonprofit. And although it's not a company and it's not a profit company, nonprofits are also structured in a very old school way, right? You have to go and write statutes. It's a pain to give people access to the bank account. It's the pain to manage. You have to have this official board. So contributing and managing volunteers is a big problem in nonprofits. So we started up as a startup with those with a couple of people in the team on the board. And we immediately saw, and especially we've been running this for a little over 2 years, 2.5 years, we saw that it was very hard to build community. So we were offering this service to all those grassroots movements, Extinction Rebellion, Fridays for Future, we help all of them, right, via a platform called Open Collective. There's one bank account and they use our service. And being in this specific model, we found it very hard to create a community to take care and to contribute to managing that common infrastructure that we were building to help the whole movement. And that's why we decided last year in November, I think, to switch from this old school nonprofit to organizing in a DAO way, like a decentralized autonomous organization, which we already were. Because we are all for climate, but all the activists that we support are all locally rooted in their local reality. So it's an enormous network that looks exactly like the picture. No.
Which picture?
The one that we distributed.
That one.
That one. It looks like that, exactly like that. The only problem we had was that there was a nonprofit hiding behind it and blocking us from building the community. And that's why we started a DAO. So how do you start a DAO? Now you can go to that slide. Yeah. We share a mission and a vision there in All for Climate. We share the vision, all of us share the vision that we need to do something and the mission. Like, we are heading towards extinction. We need to get active as fast as possible. And even more important, we need to help each other be as successful as possible, because there is quite a lot at stake, literally. So that's what we are focusing on, the common mission. What is uniting us? Our fight against the climate. Let's not talk about your solution is better than mine. Let's not focus on that, but let's focus on helping each other be as successful as possible, creating a global infrastructure that helps us all doing what is needed at our local reality, in our local context. So we created Multisix, we created a Discord channel. We went global. A lot of people joined that were attracted by the openness, by the open source attitude that we were putting out there. And now, we opened up a D-Work platform. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a platform, a job board basically, and people can actually take ownership of one of the things that need to be done in All for Climate. And the community is thriving now. It's beautiful to see that just by changing this, by going open source, by unblocking, that they all contribute.
We're just going to have to move forward for the timing.
Sorry, yeah. So how do you work for the DAO? What we see is, we started a couple. We have All for Climate, we have Regens Unite DAO. I'm starting another one as a freelancer, Open Facilitation DAO. So what is very important as a human, as a worker, is that you decide, like, what is it actually that I want to work on? Find your ikigai. What do you like doing? What does society need? And what actually pays you, right? Find your passion, the intersection. Listen in and observe, and that's the beauty of DAOs. You can go in all those Discord servers and find out, is this a community that I like? Are they aligned with my values? You tiptoe in, you follow a couple of onboarding calls, and you say, this one is it. I'm going to work for this one. I'm going to try pick up some bounties and see if this is a match. You make yourself useful, you contribute, and you immediately get the tokens so that you feel owner of the project and you start doing the extra mile, as Xavier said earlier.
And so that's how we ended up in Brussels, right? We started DAO Brussels as a way to introduce the concept here, because actually we believe that every city is a DAO, they just don't know it yet, right? And so we invite you to join us. Our mission is to increase the population of DAO workers, of crypto citizens in Brussels. We meet, we learn together, and we help each other start DAOs or join and contribute and work for DAOs, right? Experience this future of work, moving from corporations to DAOs. and with the goal of regenerating Brussels for a sustainable future. So activities, gonna go meetups. You can join DAO.Brussels to find out more. Really quickly, the Crypto Wednesday once a month. Great opportunities to meet. We did the Solarpunk NFT contest.
Yeah, we invited all creative people in Brussels, all creative citizens in Brussels to reimagine the city. So they started drawing. You see a couple of them on the poster in a inspired by the Solarpunk movement. So they started creating. We turned them into NFTs, and we organized a contest in the Citizen Corner, which is a local DAO.
You can see some of the artwork that has been done. It's also a great way to onboard artists, to teach them about NFTs, because to have a system change, we need a renaissance. There is no renaissance without artistic renaissance, and there is no artistic renaissance without a new way to fund artists. So who is going to be the Médicis of the new renaissance? Well, it's going to be all of us, coordinated thanks to blockchains. So yeah, and then the last one.
In May, we organized, really starting from the fact, and actually completely convinced about that it is not about fighting each other's solutions, right? Some people are more into the activist, some people are more in Web3. They share a lot of values. They have the same books that they read, Reinventing Organizations by Frédéric Laloux, for example. A lot of them highly value systems like sociocracy, very democratic systems. So they have, and they share a lot of values. They just have different solutions. That's not the problem. Let's unite so we can grow the critical mass of people that want a system change. And that's what we try to do at a conference we organized in May, 2 days, calling Regens Unite. Regens refers to regenerative culture, and you see a whole movement about regenerative finance, and we wanted to open up that umbrella just a tiny bit more into everybody working on regenerative solutions for yourself, for your community, and for the planet at large. That was the idea to
strength in unity, as we like to say in this country. So join DAO.Brussels. Come meet us in real life events in Brussels. We have a Discord and we have a bunch of other activities, so you are all welcome to join and explore with us this system change, the climate change, this new way of working together towards a regenerative future for Brussels and beyond. Thank you.